Hey, good morning, guys. Long time no see. Uh, I started school again, um, and I actually, I'm still working at the group home and at several different sites. So I'm still working a lot. But the reason I hadn't been doing videos is because I was really trying to take it to another level with the video presentations. Excuse me. But I need to probably get another laptop and a video camcorder. So if anybody has one they want to donate, that would be wonderful. But until then, it's no problem. I'm just going to go back to doing videos like this because, I like to have a journal of the journey. So today I wanted to talk about addictions. You guys know how my take on it. Addictions is anything that is out of balance in our life that is self-destructive, that we become accustomed to. So that could be a mindset of fear and anxiety, or depression, or drugs, or alcohol, or work, or sex, or self-loathing, or anger. All those things are taking our life out of balance and creating just a chaos system, a system of chaos. And the question people often will ask is, why am I like this? And because what happens when we have gotten used to a system of dysfunction is that, okay, it's similar to an alcoholic, okay? So when an alcoholic has been drinking most of his life, his tolerance builds, his whole biological system becomes accustomed to liquor. And so to suddenly strip him of his gin, his tonic and gin, gin and juice, it can become a life-threatening situation. So, alcohol is one of the things that you really have to be careful with when a person wants to go cold turkey. Usually, I always recommend, and it's medically recommended, that they go into a detox where there are doctors. But when you have a system like that, like an alcoholic, that you become accustomed to, because almost all of my clients who struggle with addictions have what they call a co-occurring disorder, which means they often have a faulty perception or behavior that goes along with their addiction. So, like, you'll have an alcoholic that is also depressed, or an opiate user that also struggles with anxiety, or a rageaholic, or a person who needs anger management that also struggles with self-loathing, and he uses marijuana. Okay. So often all these things are co-occurring, and it's just the system that a person has developed to medicate themselves. Like a child learns to scream and cry every time they don't get their way, every time they're in emotional pain. And if they haven't been taught to modify that behavior, to mature, to deal with the pain and learn how to handle those hurtful emotions in a positive, productive way, they will learn a dysfunctional way. Okay? So it becomes this dysfunctional security blanket that people will hold on to, like with a death grip. Okay? So when you're trying to tell somebody something positive, to give them answers on how to live their life in a more proactive, productive way, and they react defensively, it's because you're trying to strip away the only thing they've ever known that protects them. It's become a dysfunctional, familiar, protective shell. Okay, it's like obesity. And I remember I was talking to Leslie Belmore, and I mean, I'm telling you, this girl really should be a weight loss counselor, you know. But we really got deep because we were talking about my own weight loss and why I would sabotage myself, and I still do it sometimes. You know, why I would sabotage myself from being truly healthy and fit. And it's because my weight became an insulating protective shell from rejection. And I know that sounds weird, because when you're fat, you feel rejected all the time. But it also gives you the excuse not to put yourself out there in new territory, in new situations, in new environments, because you already have the excuse that, well, I'm too big for blah blah blah. You know, there was a point where I wouldn't go out with friends, you know, to certain situations because I knew I wouldn't fit in the booth in the restaurant. I was fairly sure, you know, because I had gotten used to mapping favorite restaurants and favorite spots that had tables that moved, where I could sit in them and I wouldn't be all like, you know, stuck. And so I wouldn't step out of that world, because, you know, even though it was dysfunctional and it was kind of it was keeping me in my own little box, it was safe and familiar. So we have to, when you're dealing with somebody like that and you're really trying to help them, you have to have compassion for the dysfunction that has been protecting them. That's their world. That's all they know. So when I'm talking to an addict, okay, that's also struggling with anxiety or depression or whatever, I have to be patient. Because when I'm just discussing sobriety and being successful, and I'm being motivating and encouraging and saying you can do it and blah, 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 you know, I have to also remember the incredible amount of fear that comes with change, because I'm basically selling them on a dream that they can't even visualize, okay? I mean, imagine, people who have anxiety already know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't struggle with anxiety, imagine always being afraid of the world. Always being afraid that people are going to reject you. Always being afraid that you're not going to measure up. And then somebody tells you to do something different. Then somebody tells you to believe in yourself. Then somebody tells you to go after your dreams. Imagine how much more terrifying that concept is. So, you know, I say this for like counselors or those who are trying to support or encourage other people into being successful. Just be patient and compassionate with them. I'm not saying don't encourage them, but part of being a real effective counselor or encourager or mentor or life coach is really having the compassion and empathy to see the struggle that the people you're working with are going through. So that's my topic for today. Love you guys. I am always praying for you guys because I know change is, I like to call it an adventure because it is. I don't want to call it hard. I don't want to say it's difficult because we already know all those things. But I like to call it an adventure because it makes it exciting more so than terrifying. So I'm praying for you guys to go after your own adventure and don't quit. Love you guys. Talk to you later.